Good morning, Santa Clarita. Welcome to Aging with Power, sponsored by Comfort Keepers In-Home Care. I am your host, Myles McNamara, and our show focuses on the topics and the challenges that we face on this journey that we call aging. I mean, after all, we do begin aging after we take our first breath, and although our show does primarily focus on adult and senior issues, we will sometimes talk about the entire aging spectrum, from the womb to the tomb. Our subject matter experts will address concerns and challenges that we face, and to empower us to make informed decisions. We are live, believe it or not. So if you do have a question for any of our guests, it'd be cool. Call on in, talk to Aaron, give him your question. Say good morning, Aaron. He's running all the show over there.
Mike isn't even on.
Oh, there you go. And so, again, he'll forward the question. We'd love to address any concerns. We're at 661-298-KHTS. Again, 661-298-5487. Let us know your thoughts. We'd love to address any concerns you have, because, after all, preparation is knowledge, and knowledge is power. And speaking of power, we got a powerful show for you today. A returning guest, I'm a fan. She's also around the station a lot on the other shows, the Senior Hour, et cetera, because of her knowledge and her broad base, is Kim Wall. She's an independent consultant with King Bio. And she focuses on the total wellness using homeopathy. I always stumble on that, don't I, Kim?
Everyone does.
Blood type diet, over 30 years experience. So today, Kim is going to talk about cancer, the causes, the natural ways to prevent anything from essential oils to herbal remedies, healing and cure, and some other things that she has going on. I mean, just a wealth of knowledge. Kim, welcome back to Aging with Power.
So good to see you, Myles. It's been a long time.
It's
been way too long, and it's awesome. And I was in Grapevine, Texas 2 weekends ago, and with 40 of the top natural doctors addressing cancer, and there's a cure for cancer, people.
Awesome.
There's a cure.
Well,
so I can't wait to share my info.
That's right. And then we also have with us the team from Atria of Santa Clarita, a senior assisted living facility right here in Santa Clarita. We have Josh Kroll, the regional vice president, Jennifer Crater. Is it Crater or Crater? Crater, yeah, I got it. She's the executive director, and Christy Rose, the engaged life director. Does that mean you're getting married? The engaged life director. Okay, she's engaged. She wants to talk personal today, but anyway, they've taken over what used to be Summerhill Villa up there on Lyons Avenue, and again, Josh is the regional VP. Came a long way to visit us today. So, guys, welcome to Aging with Power. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
So we're going to jump right into it. What we're going to do first is we are going to shift over our microphones, that everybody has their own microphone, because we're going to start with the Atria team. And again, guys, welcome to the community. Welcome to Aging with Power. Why don't we start off with a little bit of an overview, and whoever wants to take this is fine, of what is Atria of Santa Clarita and what does it offer type thing. So give us an overview and a little bit about yourselves, actually, too, as you segue into this.
Absolutely. So talking about what Atria of Santa Clarita is and what we offer, we are offering older adults 3 different living options. We really want to help seniors live well. So those options would include independent living, assisted living. We also have memory care at our community.
Okay, and as we dig down into that, because I know you guys, I was talking before the show, I mean, you have 180 communities internationally, 28 states and 7 in Canada. I mean, that's awesome. So you obviously know what it is you're doing. And as we get back from our first break, we're kind of dig down a little bit more of what Atria offers, what you feel differs you from other communities. I mean, the assisted living world has really kind of gotten broad in a lot of different areas. And so we'll dig down into that because the memory care versus the independent versus the assisted living, which is all 3 of what you guys offer, correct?
Correct.
All right. So as far as Atria, I know when you came to Santa Clarita, tell me your role, Josh. We have a few minutes before we go to our first break, so tell me your role as the regional vice president.
So as a regional vice president, I have 20 communities throughout Southern California, so I have the opportunity to see folks from San Diego to the desert, up here to Santa Clarita, and just really have a great opportunity to come into these communities and just see how the folks that work for Atria take care of the seniors in a really good way. And I think that's what Atria is committed to doing, is doing the best they can to give people good older lives.
Absolutely. So we're going to take our first break. When we come back, as I said, we're going to dig down into assisted living. I mean, we all, as adult children at this point, we have aging loved ones in our lives, and when that transition comes to either stay in their home with help or go to an assisted living or what have you. So there are a lot of different options out there, and I know that adult children are overwhelmed, especially not knowing what they don't know. So don't go away. We'll be right back, folks. You're listening to Aging with Power on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Welcome back to Aging with Power, folks. I'm your host, Myles McNamara, on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. If you're just joining us, we are talking to the team from Atria, Santa Clarita, right here on Lyons Avenue. It's as I was surfing around you guys' pretty cool website. You basically 4 options. I know you mentioned 3, Josh, but you basically offer independent, assisted, memory care, then also what you classify as a short-term stay, and we can talk a little bit about that. But let's talk to our listeners a little bit about if we're having aging parents and we're a little concerned about their well-being, and or if they're home alone, or if they wanted to move to a cruise ship on land. So let's go over the different type of your definitions and how you would present it to a family when they're looking for either independent, assisted, or memory care.
Sure. I mean, I think that's sometimes it's confusing to the consumer of what those definitions are, and I think definitions for Atria, independent living could mean a couple things. Independent living could mean a 55 plus community where someone lives and there's not a whole lot of support beyond that. It's just an apartment, but with seniors living there. That's not what Atria has. Atria Santa Clarita, their independent living is folks who come to our building and don't need a whole lot, but they want the convenience of having their food, in their dining program right there. They don't have to, cook if they don't want to. We provide programming and social opportunities for them, but really they're still doing their own thing. They're cruising around town, they're driving, they're meeting with friends, they're doing those things, and they're independent. And it's not really a very black and white line from independent to assisted living. There may be a day that you wake up and you need some help. You need some help getting out of bed. It's a sore day, or you may need some assistance with something, and then we are able to, with our staff that's there, whether it's our medication technicians, our nurse that's there, or our caregivers that can help you with that stuff. Because not every day is the same for a senior, just like it's not for us, and we want to be able to support them. So our assisted living, we can help folks with very minimal needs, or we can help them throughout their day to be able to be successful and participate in all the things that we have to offer. And then when you go to our memory care option, we have folks who maybe can't navigate their days like they used to, and they need support and a secure, area where they can be safe and be able to walk independently and do things, but also understand that, they're safe and that their families know that when they're with us that, we're going to be able to take care of them. And in the memory care, and I think that's, the important part is how do we make their days better, and what do we do from morning to night to help them, have every moment that's positive and good. And, some of the things that we utilize, to back up a second, when someone moves in our memory care, we want to know 100 things about them. And that's not just me, that's not just Jennifer, that's all our caregivers. So we know when they wake up late at night and they have a cup of tea, what they have, what they like in it, because help them get back to bed if they have a cup of tea they like, and throughout the day we have, music programs, we have a signature program called Legato where, we have, it's not just putting a song on a scratch CD, it's playing a movie, talking about the movie, conversating about when's the first time they saw it, who they were sitting next to. And then, that night, let's just use Oklahoma, having a Western themed dinner where they can get engaged in that. Those types of things are, what we try to come across in our memory care program. So these residents really understand that, maybe they don't, remember that we looked at Oklahoma, but they definitely know that they had a good time when they did it. And they understand that, the people who were doing it with them care about them, and that's what we're trying to do there.
So is there a screening process, guys, that when someone wants to consider Atria, that to make sure it's a good fit for everybody?
Mm-hmm. And I think you touched on it. It's a good fit for everybody. It's Atria, you may not be the place for everybody, but we hope it is. And what happens when somebody comes in, they tell us about their loved one, they tell us about their situation, and then, once that conversation gets to a point where we think it's a good fit, we'll send one of our staff out to their home, or have, the person come to our community, and we'll spend some time with them, and we'll, get a sense of their, their capabilities and their abilities and their wants and needs, and, medication, and potentially, get a form from their doctor to understand, exactly where they're at, and and that point we'll make a decision. Hey, this is going to work, and that we would love to have you, come move in with us and become part of the family. And
not only, I'm assuming with memory care, you probably take all stages of Alzheimer's right up to hospice, and do you have hospice beds? And maybe you can touch on that a little bit for us.
So we take all stages of dementia, but to a degree, we're not going to have folks that, are combative or folks that, can't participate in their activities of daily living. So if they're, at a point where, they can't feed themselves or do those sort of things, there may be a better option that provides more support services than we can. You wouldn't walk into an Atria and see, a skilled nursing setup where you may have tables where one person's feeding several people. We don't necessarily do that. We have folks who sit in our dining room who have the same dining options as our assisted living. They have choices. They have those sort of things. So, if you have a senior who has memory impairment, dementia, that sort of thing, but is still active and just needs guidance through their life, that's probably the most appropriate fit for Atria. But folks who need more services than that may be in a different setting. As it relates to hospice, we do have people who live in our building on hospice, not that necessarily dedicated beds, but if you age to a point where you're at a point where you need palliative care and hospice, you can stay in our community, and with a combination of hospice services and our services, we'll make it happen because it's their home, and we want them to live there and pass there.
And I got to be honest with you, one thing as I've observed, and I really like the model that you guys have is, and I don't mean this bad on any front for anybody, but sometimes you see some assisted living facilities have really gone past the acuity that they should. So what it really does, it takes the ability of that active senior who wants to have a community like you described earlier, to be active, to be, independent. But sometimes you walk into some of these assisted living facilities, they look like a skilled nursing facility. So I really admire your guys' model, and you're presenting that option for active seniors who want to stay engaged. And that's a clever segue, because we're going to take a break right now. When we come back, I want to hear a little bit from Christy. So it's not engaged life director, it's the engage life director. Yeah. So her personal life won't come into play here, but anyway, so when we come back, we'll talk to Christy, and we'll talk about exactly that. So don't go away, folks. You're listening to Aging with Power on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.